What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, America? It's your boy Rod and Don. We are in the building, ready to set off another fire episode of Brooklyn Beers and Ball Sports Show. Listen, you know it's hot. This weekend, the block is going to be hot. It is on the matchup we all been waiting for. And before we get into the goodies and all the stuff we get ready to talk about for this playoff weekend, we need you to do us a favor. We need you to subscribe, like this video, comment on this video, both Facebook, both YouTube. We're representing both platforms. We need you to follow and support the page, support the show. It's on and popping, man. I'm excited. I'm ready to do this. Big D, what's going on with your chain?
Oh, man, what's going on, Rod? You know how it is. I'm very excited. This is the matchup that we wanted to see. And you know what? Shout outs to your background. I like that. That looks like victory formation from last year.
No.
That's a beautiful thing. I'm ready to start. Let's get this going.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just get
without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's go.
Divisional round, okay? Mm-hmm. This is what it's all about, and it just so happens that we got the matchup that the world wants to see.
Yes.
San Francisco 49ers are hosting the Dallas Cowboys. San Francisco is a 4-point favorite. What can we say? Okay, so let's go back. Before we go forward, let's go back.
Yep.
Cowboys played a very impressive game. I'm gonna give them my flowers while they can smell it because they're dead Sunday. But I'm gonna give them their flowers now. Dallas Cowboys played a very impressive game. Pretty much, they had their way with it with Tampa Bay. But we have to remember that Tampa Bay is not really a good team. Everybody was going off of name recognition because Tom Brady is the most decorated quarterback that's ever played. People think that he was able to resurrect a great team out of the ashes. And truth be told, he's not mobile. They have zero running game, no running game. They are a one-dimensional team. So yes, Dak was able to shine with against an offense that didn't offer anything, and he had all the time in the world to stand back there, go through all his progressions, and hit the open tight end, right? Because the receivers didn't really do too much anyway. It was Dalton Schultz that really, he shined. He had 2 touchdowns. So I appreciate that you guys had an impressive win, but we also have to factor in the level of competition. It was very low. But nonetheless, you got a road victory, and there was a huge drought for the last time the Dallas Cowboys had a road victory. So kudos to you. But ultimately, when you play the 49ers, because we handled you guys last year at home, right? When you play the 49ers, number one, our run game is crazy. Okay, so it's not like this is not Leonard Fournette and Rashad White. This is something on the next level, and you know that because if we go back a few weeks, can't stop the run deep. Now all of a sudden, you're confident that you guys are going to handle us. Not to mention, one of us did not pick the Cowboys to even win last week, but now all of a sudden you got all this air in your lungs. This doesn't make sense to me. What changed? Yeah, you beat up on Tampa Bay, but you know this is a different level. You know, new levels, new devil. This is a different level that you're dealing with. So please, the fake confidence, vibrato, it's going to all dissipate after Sunday's game. What do you say?
Okay, well, I have a lot to say, and I'm going to say this. New levels, new devils, but as we know, devils don't win, right? Devils eventually get cast out and defeated, and that's what we're going to see on Sunday. Let me explain something to you. As I've been saying consistently throughout our show, I am a Cowboy fan that's not like in this lofty place of imagination like some Cowboy fans can be. I look at the game objectively. I understand my team, its strengths and its weaknesses, and and even history takes a play in how I perceive whether or not Dallas could or cannot win a game. And so last week, yeah, I didn't think we were going to beat the Buccaneers. I didn't. And let's just be honest, nobody expected Dallas to dominate the game. Now, people like yourself chose Dallas to win. You predicted that they would win, but not dominate, okay? And so that's a good thing, but I'm going to take it because, wow, I'm a fan. I want my team to win, but it doesn't take anything away from my fandom or just me being objective as a fan if I think that my team won't win. In fact, I'm actually a little more confident in this game than I was last week's game. And the thing you talk about, what we did last week against a lesser team, right, an inferior team, such as the Buccaneers. Rightfully so. We know the Buccaneers are they're back, all right? And at the end of the day, especially as that game progressed through the second, third quarter, we kind of saw like, all right, the Tom Brady era, for all intents and purposes, has officially ended, okay? But this game is intriguing in a lot of ways. Cowboys and 49ers, okay? As I've been telling you before, and before I get to my take on that, can't stop the run D. That was months ago. That was before we got John Hankins in the middle, who, once we acquired him to beef up our interior line, we've given up a yard less per carry since he's been there. And Vander Esch is actually, and I know I joked on T and I kind of, really outed him in the early part of the season last year. He has really stepped up his game in a major way. And when he came back and played last week, we saw the difference there as well. So Vander Esch holding it down, Hankins in the middle. Dallas has been very good against the run. We shut down a lot of good 100-yard runners throughout the rest of the year after we had struggles in the beginning of the year, from the Saquon Barkleys of the world, the Joe Mixons. We were able to shut down even the Eagles, the Sanders, different players that have not rushed over 100 yards. Cook, different runners that have known to run on the Cowboys have not been running on us in the way in which it has. Now, granted, the 49ers are a different animal, right? Because their kickers can run. Their punters can run. Everybody can run the ball. This game is difficult in a lot of ways because of the way Kyle Shanahan schemes the offense and just has guys putting them in position to do what they do best. And CMC has clearly taken your team to a whole nother level, okay? No question about it. In fact, I'm not even going to use anything from the games prior to his arrival, or at least when he started, because y'all been undefeated since he started, as any type of backdrop to make an argument or to prove a point. Because as far as I'm concerned, that was a different team. Y'all got ragged by Kansas City, but y'all had like 6 defensive starters out. So I'm not even going to use that. Although Dallas doesn't get the same latitude, because when we were losing or when we lost to the Eagles because Dak wasn't there, we didn't get that kind of latitude. Nobody wanted to hear that. But I'm different, right? I'm gonna objectively look up the game because I understand the importance of having good players playing. But here is the thing, and I said this to you before. If Dallas does what they did to this degree in terms of how we can run our offense with a more hasty pace like we did against, it wasn't really I would say like a fast pace per se, but Dak was no huddle, and Dak was able to command that line. And if we can be able to keep your defense off balance, neutralize that pass rush, particularly Bosa, okay, Armstead is okay, but he ain't Bosa. Bosa is the main guy. That's the guy. If we're able to neutralize him and Dak can get the ball out quick like everybody does against our pass rush, we will be able to do some things. Your secondary is overrated. And again, I still say this. I don't think your defense has played anybody. Stidham exposed y'all, and even Geno last week exposed y'all. He completed 65% of his passes, and he had nearly a 100 quarterback rating, okay? He played very well against your secondary. Your secondary is not all of that. They're good, but not great. And it's the pass rush that actually covers the flaws on that back end. If that can get going, particularly CeeDee Lamb, because we do need him to have a good game. We didn't need him last week against the Bucs. But in Schultz, if we can also continue to get him going, because he balled out last year against y'all before he got hurt in the second quarter of that game. He already had 7 catches for nearly 100 yards before he got hurt. So that was a big miss. That was a big loss for us in that game. But granted, it was, Bosa was hurt in that game as well. He missed. So, again, like you often say, and rightfully so, injuries is the greatest neutralizer, right? Or equalizer, rather. But what I want to say is that this is your best matchup of the year. This is where Purdy will be tested against a greater, because we're not Seattle, okay? We ain't the Rams. We ain't the teams that y'all play. We're not even the Dolphins. We're not these teams that y'all
We're
been
not
playing.
Washington.
We're not.
You're
Washington
not
has a
Washington.
good front.
Oh.
Washington has a good front. They have a good front.
Is it too soon to bring up Washington?
But we're not Washington either. We beat Washington this year. And can I be honest with you about the Commanders game? Let me say this about the Commanders game, please. So I could just let's just be honest, okay? Yes, that was a bad game. We looked bad in that game. I'll end this segment on this piece with this. You can clearly see Kellen Moore, we was not in his bag in that game. We didn't want to reveal that. We went real vanilla in that game. It was so basic. It was so rudimentary the way we ran our offense in that game. We showed nothing offensively in that game. Now, granted, they still beat us, and I'm not taking away from their victories, but D, let's just be honest, okay? That game right there, yes, it was bad, but when you see the contrast of how we looked against the Buccaneers, a team that beat us twice in a row from last year and this year, and we were able to dominate, again, lesser team and inferior to us. I get it. All your points are valid. But coming into this game, you better be afraid and very afraid, because now you're playing a real team with a balanced, with a high potent offense and a really, really good defense that can get after the quarterback. And if we hustle, we tackle, and we're able to gain and swarm the way we need to, so y'all don't get this yak effect against us, Dallas will have a great chance to win this game. We have a great chance to win this game.
You sound like when you remember when we were younger, Hulk Hogan used to have all those things, eat your vitamin, brother, and look both ways. You got all this whole laundry list of stuff that you need to do to win. I said last week, if Dak, unfortunately for Cowboy fans, Dak played his perfect game a week too early. He blew it. He has done this year with all of his perfect games. He played nearly a perfect game last week. Okay, so let's just say this. You played Tampa Bay. Do you know how much Tampa Bay put up 52 yards rushing? Two running backs. One had 52 yards total. 52 yards. We averaged 138. Do you know how many yards we had last week? 181. So right then and there, how are you going to? My point is that if you play a one-dimensional team, Tom Brady still had almost 400 yards and 2 touchdowns on you guys, right? So it wasn't like you didn't shut him down. Yeah, it was on 700 passes, but he still put up. It's regardless. He still put up nearly 400 yards. And Tom Brady, we both agree, has zero mobility. So if you factor in the fact that their running game was a non-factor, 52 yards, you might as well not even run the ball, right? And then you have Tom Brady, who is a statue, who has to throw the ball nearly 70 times.
Right.
That is a recipe for disaster. So you guys should feel good about that. And if you're not understanding that there is a higher level, so forget our run game. Forget our run game. Let's not even talk about our run game. We're talking about our skill players, right?
Right.
Brock Purdy is going to. We don't need Brock Purdy to throw for 300 or 400 yards. Although he had 4 touchdowns last week, 3 passing, he rushed 1.
Against the Seahawks, a lesser team, they're a playoff team, but
So let me ask you a question. What team was better? Seattle or Tampa Bay? Which is a better team?
Seattle's a better team than Tampa Bay.
Okay. So what are we talking about?
But in comparison, if you put it in context to the 49ers, the same way the Buccaneers.
So we both played.
We both played the 49ers.
We both played lesser teams, right? And we should have dominated, right? But the difference is, on a consistency level, the week prior to that, your team put up 6 points. The week prior to that, my team still balled out the same way. So we have been consistent.
That's regular season. That's the last game of the season we look good. You got to go by. Listen, like I said to you before, again, always being the nice guy that's giving you some objective latitude. Again, y'all lost and got blown out the water by Kansas City, right? And you lost to Atlanta this year. Horrible losses. But again, to put it in perspective, you didn't have your team fully healthy. That's right. So no one's looking at that game, and I'm not going to translate those losses and try to put that into context for this game come Sunday. That would be poor analysis. That don't even make sense.
And the fact that you're saying
Commanders, but we're still a better team than Commanders. We play the Commanders on Sunday. I bet you will kick their tail if this was a playoff game.
You have consistently said. Now we have a small sample size of what Brock Purdy has done, and you have repeatedly said that our defense is overrated. You consistently have said this. Our defense is overrated. I think Brock Purdy is overrated, or he's going to turn into a pumpkin at some point. And so that's all well and good, but you don't want to even kind of discuss the fact that Dak has had terrible games. He's had terrible games. He's
played though. There's a difference between a bad game and bad throws, right? Everybody throws interceptions. Pat Mahomes can throw 4 or 5 touchdowns and throw 2 bad picks. Josh Allen does it almost every week.
We're not comparing Dak to them, are we?
But what I'm saying in context of a performance, right? Dak has had not no bad games. A bad game is against the Commanders. That was a bad game. That was a bad game.
And that was leading into the playoffs, right?
Huh?
But that was going into the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, ideally you want to play well, but then what do we do the following week? That's what I'm saying. So that game against the Commanders, it has no bearing. It's completely moot because of what we did last week with the full dominance of display of dominance that we had against the Buccaneers. So people still want to bring up the Commanders. They're reaching. When you bring up the Commanders, you are reaching. That's what I say. Just like if
it's just a comparison, and people are trying to find out. Now, I think you would even agree to this. Most Cowboy fans, I look and see Cowboy comments and everyone's, Cowboys are going to dominate. But some Cowboy fans say, well, it depends on which Dak shows up. You don't think, let me ask you a question.
I agree with that.
Do you think if you guys turn the ball over against us, which you guarantee you will. I'm not Charles Barkley.
That don't mean we would lose.
Let me explain something to you. When you turn the ball over on us, you're losing anyway.
That's not true.
Okay, with us.
You don't think your team? We lead the league in turnovers. So you don't think that you think Purdy ain't gonna gift us something? Like you think? Are you under the impression that the 49ers are gonna play a perfect game?
No, they don't have to play a perfect game.
But yet you say we have to play a perfect game to beat you.
What is your ranking against the run? Are you in the bottom tier?
I have to check again. Matter of fact, let me look at that.
Yeah. It's in the bottom tier. Let me help you out. It's in the bottom tier.
Is it in the bottom tier?
And so.
All right. Okay, but we still play. Okay, but go ahead. But that's probably a lot because of how we played in the beginning of the year against the run. If you look at Dallas against.
But yet you brought up the fact that we lost against Atlanta. Huh? You brought up the fact that we lost against Atlanta. You highlighted our bad losses.
But what else did I say about that? That y'all weren't healthy. So that's the thing, right? So that loss don't mean anything. Just like us not stopping and running at the beginning of the year. But once we got Hankins and once we started to really play better, change our scheme somewhat, because the reason why a lot of teams run well on Dallas is because we only play with 2 linebackers and we play with 5 defensive backs. So that opens up a lot in that sense, because that's just the way Dan Quinn schemes up everything. But once we beefed up that middle, we have stopped a lot of runs. Teams like Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the game, we shut him down twice. No 100-yard games for him. We played against really good. Jonathan Taylor got shut down. We shut down.
He's been dealing with an injury all year, but okay, cool.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. See,
but let me ask you a question.
Okay.
All right, so
go ahead.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
We play Sunday. Will you guys hold us under 100?
Under the rushing?
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Now all of a sudden you have a memory lapse.
No, I'm just saying. You said under 100. I'm thinking about
not even close. Not even close.
But I don't think that. But that don't mean we're gonna lose because you hold us under 100. Do you ever hear the announcers ever say something like, "If I told you that if Kyle Shanahan was told before the game, and you know where I'm going with this, that you're gonna have 150 yards rushing and Purdy is gonna have 2 touchdowns, did you still think you'll be down by 7. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan would take those stats by midway through the fourth quarter. And to have those stats, you would think this team be winning. But yet, this game was close, or Dallas is still with a 3-point lead. So what I'm trying to say is that both teams, because I do feel they're evenly matched, I don't think both teams, or you're going to see perfection or dominance out of both teams. I think it's going to just come down to plays, right? Bosa making a play. Micah making a play. Can Purdy make a big throw when it's necessary? Can Dak make a big throw and convert when necessary? I think that's what it's going to come down to. I don't think it's about throughout
Mike has been kind of quiet. He's been kind of quiet.
But Mike had 10 pressures last week and a sack.
Last week. But
that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And he's an
Okay.
all-pro. He is an all-pro just like Joey Bosa is. Or Nick Bosa, rather.
Nick Bosa.
He's an all-pro. He's an all-pro. So it
No
don't
problem.
matter. Okay?
So you feeling really confident that you guys are going to win? Tony Pollard last week, this dominance over, we dominated. We dominated Tom Brady. Tony Pollard, 77 yards rushing. The team as a whole, 128 yards. Tom Brady still put up 351, 2 TDs.
We gave him those yards. We played soft cover. We was up by 3 touchdowns. So
so let me ask you something. So let me ask you. We didn't give Seattle that last touchdown. We shut them out in the second half. Okay, so what are you talking about? It was a close game. It was close in the first half. And then in the fourth quarter, we scored more than they scored in the entire game.
Well, see, again, in the fourth quarter, right, y'all begin to show your dominance and you separated from them. That's fine. But what I'm saying is that there was still a point in that game where Seattle, which went into halftime with the lead, and even some of that
on a stupid penalty. It was a stupid penalty that allowed.
But you didn't see that against Dallas and Tampa Bay, did you? Tampa Bay never stood a chance in that game. The Seahawks was leading going into halftime. So that showed they
and then they lost by 1,000 points. So what did that mean?
Well against y'all. They did not run the ball well against y'all that first half.
They had 104 yards.
Okay, so I'm saying they had 30-something more yards than what y'all give up on an average per game.
Yeah,
so they played well. So, but you didn't see that in the Tampa showed no signs of life in that whole game. None.
Because their running game was only 52 yards.
Right. But what I'm trying to say, even the stats that Brady put up at 300-something yards, a lot of that was garbage yards. The yards we gave them all the stuff underneath. That's all that was. You know what I mean? What's his name? Godwin had 40 catches for 40 yards. If you look at his stats. It don't matter. We gave that stuff we give away. Come on, D. You know that already. D, all I'm saying is this.
You're basing this off of Mattress Mac because he put a $2 million bet on the Cowboys to win. Let me tell you something about Mattress Mac. Mattress Mac also picked TCU and they lost by 1,000 points. So hey, listen, and he's picking Dallas with his heart. He's picking all Texas teams. He's made a ton of money picking, the Astros, who are cheaters, right? But he's been cashing out. He picked TCU, right? And TCU got smoked. The game was over in the first 5 minutes of the game. He's picking Dallas, and I'm not saying that Dallas has no chance, but I will say this. I have to just be clear on this.
Okay.
The spread is 4 points. We will cover the spread. We will win. And I'll say this. We will win by double digits.
Okay. All right.
We'll win by double digits.
We're going to win this game. Dallas is going to win this game by 6. We're going to win this game by 6.
Okay, so let's get a score.
Yeah, we're going to win this game by 6. Dallas, I got Dallas. I got Dallas 31-24.
31-24.
Yeah, I got Dallas 31-24.
Okay, so I got the 49ers.
I take it back. Can we do it before you give? Because it's not official until after you give your score. So 31-27. So Dallas will win by 4. Because 4 was what I really had in my mind originally. 31-27. Dallas will win.
You ready?
Yeah,
I'm ready. For my score now?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you. This false prophecy you're about to release. Go ahead.
49ers are going to win 35-17.
Wow. So you think y'all gonna blow us out? That's how confident you are?
That's what
they're gonna blow us out?
Do we have a Webster dictionary around here? What does dominate mean? We're going to dominate.
Wow.
We're going to dominate.
So you're really feeling talking about a team that hasn't played anybody in 10 weeks. Wow. Okay. All right. Clearly, this is the best team y'all played all year. The best team. You think y'all gonna die? And y'all haven't. Wow. Oh my gosh. Woohoo. 35-17.
35-17.
Oh.
Dak's perfect game.
Beat us last year. Barely beat us last year. We played poor last year. Yeah,
but we were okay. So Nick Bosa's out for a whole half. Warner was dealing with, I think, a foot injury. Listen. It's all well and good. We got the W.
Too in that game. Dak was hurt. Dak was hurt the last half of that whole season of last year. Dak played hurt. Dak was hurt. The calf was still bothering and the shoulder. Okay, but of course, nobody really knew about him, or people knew about it, but Dak wasn't using that as an excuse. Dak did not play healthy in that game. He wasn't healthy the last 6 or 7 weeks since the New England game of last year. We beat them in overtime when he pulled his calf. But nevertheless, it's okay. It's okay. And we have 14 penalties in that game, and we still almost beat y'all. Still, we shut y'all down in that second half. Y'all still could not even move the ball in that second half.
Let me ask you a question. What is the difference from this team last year to this year? Because I can tell you what the difference is. You still have McCarthy as your coach?
Yeah, McCarthy's coached well.
Still have Kellen.
Definitely coached better this year than he did last year.
You still have Kellen Moore as your offensive coordinator?
Yeah, he still is. Yeah.
Okay. What significant player? You said Hankins. That's the difference maker, or CD coming into his own.
We have Sam Williams, our rookie. We've got Tyler Smith, our left tackle rookie, who is nasty, by the way. Big physical dude that will crush you and dump you in the dirt. Okay, very fit. We've gotten way more physical. Sam Williams.
So what's the impact player that's going to put you over the top? Is there a player that you think is going to be?
I think Michael will. I think Michael will still do that. And I think the difference between this year and that is not the personnel per se. It's the preparation, and it's us really now digging into the schemes of finding the weaknesses of what you guys have. And remember, we were the favorite in that game. I think Dallas came into that game a little bit like with not the level of urgency, because we were the favorites in the game. Remember, y'all snuck into the playoffs, right? Y'all got hot at the end, and y'all started playing really well, and y'all were not the team nobody really wanted to see, but Dallas was actually favored to win that game.
What has changed? What has changed? Based off of what you said. We got hot going into the playoffs.
I think we're gonna
nobody wants to see us.
What
has changed?
Well, that's still the case, but I still think we're better prepared. And I think we're going to definitely put up I think Dallas was nervous too in that first game. Last year in that playoffs too. I think guys was really nervous, little jittery there. Parsons and a lot of guys. We have 14 penalties, very undisciplined. Mike McCarthy did not have that team ready. I will admit, he did not. But this week, on this Sunday, he will have them ready. They are ready. Yeah. Trust me. Cowboys is coming, bro. We coming.
There we go.
We are coming.
I love it.
Ooh, it's going to be so on.
35-17. Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's go to the next game. We're going a little out of order from where they play, but the Jaguars versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City is a 9-point favorite. Yeah. Listen, I think that the Jaguars, I think they have a shot. Now, I'm going to give you a quick little conspiracy. We understand that through them, the NFL coming and thinking outside the box, they had to come up with this formula on how the teams would be playing, and if they were going to, if these two teams played because they had the cancellation of the Cincinnati game and the Cincinnati and Buffalo, that kind of put everything in a tailspin. So they came up, although they had rules in place, they came out outside the box and came up with this whole neutral site. But when you think about it, that whole neutral site is a little weird as it pertains to teams and, being creatures of habit and the preparation for said AFC championship game. You're playing in the dome. These are outside teams, the teams that would be involved. Actually, I think, Cincinnati, who was winning at the time of that game and had already beaten the Chiefs and was on their way potentially to beating the Bills. If they would have won out, they would have had home field advantage, right? But they lose all that because that game was canceled. And
correct.
so on and so forth. I still have to say one of these teams is not going to make it because I don't think they're going to do that whole neutral site. So if I had to pick, I would pick the Jaguars upsetting Kansas City. I know it's a crazy pick, but they're very familiar with each other, right? Because Peterson was under Andy Reid. I think they have a run game. Of course, the challenge is to try to stop Travis Kelce, of course. Mm-hmm. And you have to make Mahomes, you have to keep him in the pocket. As you know, most teams in general want to have players that the quarterback's kind of out of the pocket. They become, a little more uncomfortable. But I think keeping him in the pocket, keeping him uncomfortable. I think one of their receivers is not playing. I think Nico Hardman has been ruled out. I don't think he's playing. But of course, you have Kadarius Toney, he's a game changer. Oh yeah, he can ball out. So I think Andy Reid, and I know he has his record coming off of the bye. But I think ultimately, I would think that is my upset of the week. I think there is a chance that that the Jacksonville Jaguars upset it. And then if they do so, then I think all is made well. One of those teams needs to, actually exit early so that they can play. One of the teams will have, whoever wins out of those two teams will have home field advantage. I think the whole going to Atlanta, I think that throws off the feng shui. What do you say?
Yeah, I think, that's conspiracy, at a whole nother level right there. Because I think if conspiracy is if there's any validity to that, I would think, right, just from viewership and interest level, you would want to see, Buffalo and Kansas City, in wherever they play, right? I mean, ideally, the dome is not where you would think these teams would play. I think that wasn't a smart move by the NFL to bring them there. So there probably was something went down behind the scenes where somehow Atlanta was able to get that game. Okay, but I don't know. I don't.
It's a stretch. I'm gonna be honest. It is a stretch.
Because I think look, it's a good story. Jaguars won last week. They came from behind. Good. Emotional. Trevor Lawrence, great story. Doug Peterson really done a great job. Turned the team around, right? Considering the debacle they had last year, with
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer, yeah, thank you. So I think though you don't want to see him, though, right? I don't think anybody wants to still. I don't think we're ready for Trevor Lawrence going deep in the playoffs. Not right now. Not when you have Josh and Mahomes at the level. And Mahomes, in my opinion, was MVP of the league. I just don't see that. I don't, from a conspiracy perspective, I don't see that. Now, can the Jaguars win this game? Yes, they can. They can. They only lost by 10 in the last game, and they actually forced 3 turnovers in the last time that they played. And I think what you'll probably have to look at is because Kirk played well in that game, they played well. They put up some good numbers.
Evan Ingram, he played well.
And Ingram, they played well. And I think they didn't run the ball. I think they only had 75 yards of total rushing yards in that game. But Etienne had 45. He had 4.5 rushing yards in that game. So I think they went away from the run. So he only carried the ball 11 times. But the game got a little bit out of hand. I mean, even though the score doesn't really say or show how much of a margin that the Chiefs won by. But I do think that they can do some good things, especially with Christian Kirk in single coverage. And if they can isolate him and find ways to get him open, he'll beat those DBs. Because again, I don't think the back end is great in my opinion with the Chiefs as well. So I think it's a doable game for them to win. I mean, it's winnable, but I don't think that they win. But I like the Chiefs in this one though.
Okay. So do you have a score?
I'm gonna go 33-19.
Oh wow! So you got a blowout kind of.
Yeah.
33-19.
Yeah.
I have the Jags. I'll say this: the Chiefs should win, right?
Yeah.
So if the Chiefs win, they won't cover, right? So that is some significance. But I think given the 4 teams that that are involved in that whole neutral site, either the Bills or the Chiefs have to lose. And given that, with all of the feel-good story and road to recovery, I think the Bills they're gonna make it all the way to the Super Bowl. So this is a little bit of Donspiracy. This is a little bit of
it's a lot of Donspiracy.
It's a lot because the Chiefs are a better team. But I'm gonna take the Jags. My upset alert. I'm gonna take the Jags 31-29.
Wow.
31-29 Jaguars.
Well, I'll say this last point. The reason why I got them winning big is because Kansas City, that is because if Trevor Lawrence was to turn over the ball like he did last week, the Chargers couldn't. They just decided not to score anymore. I guess for whatever reason they felt 27 was enough to get us what we needed to do. Like, defense shut them down, right? Like there's no such thing as Kansas City letting up the gas, right? The gas pedal. They're gonna score and keep scoring and scoring and scoring. So that's why I say I just don't think. And I don't know, D. Maybe you can explain this to me. Like, to me, a 9-point spread or 9-point margin of victory. At least that's what the odds makers have it at. To me, that's not a lot. Like, to me, when I look at football, like if you want to beat a team by 9 points in baseball, that's different, right? But not in football. Like, so if Kansas City was to win 31-20, right? Or something, or
yeah, but I'll say
they won
this.
9-0, right? They win with 3 field goals and they win 9-0. To me, that's a close game.
In the playoffs. In the playoffs, over a touchdown is a big deal,
So if a team loses 35-28, did they get blown out?
No. That's not a blowout. But if you're teetering on, you had them winning double digits. So that is.
Because to me, they should have been favored. To me, they should have been favored by almost, I think, at least 15 to 20 points. To me, that's a. Yeah,
so there is a reason why it's not. Let me explain.
Okay.
In the mindset of. And I've never worked in Vegas and all of that, but Vegas with spreads, they're begging you to pick a certain team, right?
Okay.
So when a team is, if we look at it, experience to experience, right? Trevor Lawrence, he survived, right? So he really shouldn't be here, right? If the Chargers did what they were supposed to do, he would have been eliminated, right? But survived. 4 turnovers in the half.
Right.
So Vegas is looking at Kansas City. We know their record off of a bye or a rest, right? So we understand how great they are. Andy Reid, offensive genius. The enemy, offensive genius. Patrick Mahomes, MVP. The fact that it's only 9 points is like, it's a no-brainer. For the people that aren't going next level and thinking about it, it's a no-brainer. It's only 9 points. Kansas City should just blow them out. That should be easy. And it will be a very tightly contested game, i.e. Miami. Miami was a 13 and a half, 14 point, and they won by 3 points.
What is Vegas trying to do then? You were talking
they're
about
trying to
begging you to do what?
They're trying to beg you to take the favorite because the spread doesn't match the skill level of the teams that are playing, right? So Miami with a third-string quarterback playing against the Bills, it's a no-brainer. This team is more experienced. This team should have beaten them, by more than 2 touchdowns, right? Would you say?
Yeah. No, yeah. I would definitely say. Yeah.
And it wound up being a 3-point game. All of the people, I'm sure, the majority of the other people were putting money on, the Bills. Oh, this is a no-brainer. The Bills is gonna blow them out.
Right.
And to only win by 3 points lets you know something. And we had predicted Josh Allen was going to keep them in the game because he's a turnover machine. So I wasn't surprised by that. But I do understand that sometimes when the spreads are so tight, they do this in NBA, when they're so tight and you're like, man, the skill level is so far apart. Why is it so close? It's because they're begging you. Go ahead and take that one. and then next thing you know, somebody gets injured in the first quarter, and then the whole game shifts.
Okay, I see.
So
Okay.
that's kind of what the
I know you have a better because again, I don't follow the whole
spreads,
odd making thing and spreads and stuff. But okay, I appreciate the enlightenment on that. Yeah.
So I think the Jags will keep it close. If they don't win, they will definitely be under 9 points, and I could be 100% wrong. But one thing I am confident in: the Bills and the Chiefs will not play in the AFC Championship game. And I'm sure if I'm wrong, I'm going to get roasted in the comments, but I can live with that. I think it's going to be that whole neutral site. I just think it wasn't well thought out. The NFL made a knee-jerk reaction, and they were scrambling to get a place. And really,
now that you're saying it, you might be right. I'll say this real quick. I know we got to move on to the next segment. Is that if neither one of those teams cannot make it, I think it would be. Now it probably would be Kansas City because people would probably want to see, right, a Buffalo-Cincinnati supposed rematch, right?
Well, that's already happening. Buffalo and Cincinnati are playing each other.
They're playing anyway, right? Oh,
they're playing each other, so there will be a rematch. But it's only if Kansas City plays the Bills. So the Bills would have to beat the Bengals. Kansas City would have to beat the Jaguars, and then they go to Atlanta and play.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
I could be wrong. I think one of those teams is going to lose. And if my choice is out of Buffalo and Kansas City, because that's what it boils down to, which one of those I think the public wants. I mean, because we're so used to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs always being in it. I mean, look at their AFC championship record over the last 6 years. So it's kind of teetering on that whole Brady enough. We need to take a break from their success. And that's why I picked the Jaguars to upset Kansas City. By no means do I think the Jaguars are better than Kansas City, but they might have one of those perfect type of games, and Mahomes may turn the ball over, some ill-advised trying to sneak the ball in or a sack fumble that changes the whole game. But did we do a score? Let me get a score real quick. Did we do a score already?
Yeah, we did a score. Yeah, I think what did I pick? 33-19, Kansas City.
Okay, great. So let's go on to the next game.
Okay.
New York Football Giants versus the Eagles.
Yep.
Okay. Giants are a 7.5 point. Eagles are a 7.5 point favorite.
Right.
I think that this is a good game. I think Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, they balled out last week. They were dominant. We picked them to beat the Vikings. We weren't surprised by that. But I think playing the Eagles, it's a little bit different. Jalen Hurts has had some rest. I don't really think, unfortunately for the Giants, their weapons, their wide receiving core has been super injured. Although Slayton balled out last week, I think overall, I think the Eagles pose too much. It's too much. They have a defense. They have good special teams. They have a run game. And let me tell you, Miles Sanders it seems like he needs Jalen Hurts to be there in order to be as effective as he has been. Because when we've seen him, because once again, there's a threat, a dual threat. You have, is Jalen going to take it or is Miles Sanders going to take it? But standalone, I don't think he's as dynamic as people may believe. But nonetheless, I think the Giants will play a good game. You know, Daboll has exceeded expectations. Because remember, they were almost on a rebuild, right? They were talking prior to Brian Daboll coming. They were talking about getting Danny Dimes out of there, right? And that might have been a hasty decision because he is playing really well, actually. I think he's using his legs effectively. He's passing, and think about it. If he had a few more receivers, a few pieces, Saquon is healthy for the first time in a long time, and it's showing how explosive he is. He's an impact player. Perfect timing when it comes time for your a contract extension to really ball out. And remember, there is the Giants prior to Daboll coming. They didn't have faith in Daniel Jones because they didn't even extend him. They didn't take his 5th-year option. So I'm not making this up. This is not my own take. This is them. He's he had to kind of show me. This was a show me year, and he has shown. Good for him. I think he will. I don't know if they're going to give him the big payday, but certainly if they franchise tag him, certainly he's going to make more than he's making this year. So they may franchise tag him. See if this was just lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
this was just an anomaly, or there's a lot to be said about good coaching. So he perhaps has just been coached up, given the opportunity to, the coach to, accentuate his talents, his assets, what he brings to the table as far as the run game and using his arm, because those avenues were open. He was all over the place. I think he had more yards than more rushing yards than Tony Pollard. I don't even know why I went there. I shouldn't even went there, but he had more rushing yards than Tony Pollard. But I shouldn't have went there. But regardless of the fact, I do like the Eagles to win the game. What do you say?
Listen. Real quick about Daniel Jones and his future with the Giants. I think it all depends on Brian Daboll. If Daboll says to management, I want him on a long-term deal. I like him. I can grow with him. I think, I could be his Belichick to Brady. Not with multiple Super Bowl wins. What I'm saying is they could really make a good tandem. I think it depends on that, because Daboll's going to be there, right? So he's the one that said, I can work with this guy. Let me get him a year, because that's not his guy. And now I'm sure it's his guy. So if Daboll convinces them to extend him, or pick up or do a new contract with them that's got some years on it, I think it's going to be at Daboll's behest. Because I don't know if they want to go long term. Because to your point, we don't know if this is really him or not, right? It's just been a good season, an anomaly, like you said. We'll see. But if they worst case scenario, they'll just franchise tag him, and then we'll see. And I think that's what may end up happening. You know what I mean? So, but I think Daboll is going to have a lot to do as far as influencing the years on the contract that Daniel Jones gets. He's not going to get the Deshaun Watson money or Mahomes or nothing like that, Dak money. But he'll get, but he's going to get a nice payday. He's definitely going to get a bump in pay, no question about it. I like the Eagles. Eagles, I think it's cut and dry for the Eagles, right? We just got to see what Eagle team we're going to see, right? They struggled in the last game of the season against the Giants. Giants was only an onside kick away, right, from possibly winning that game, maybe perhaps. Last game of the season, right? But
are you referencing that because that's the last game you've seen? Because I know you said regular season. We don't want to talk about regular season.
Well, they haven't played a playoff game yet.
Okay, no, I was just asking.
Right,
that's the reason why.
So that was the last game we saw, and they haven't played a playoff game yet. And we got to see. Yeah, no, you try. Listen, all of my arguments, all the holes are covered. Okay, don't try to find no kind of loopholes in my defense. My defense is tight. Okay, all right. It's only your team and my team has played a playoff game, so whatever we did in the regular season doesn't matter now. We don't know what the Eagles are going to do in the first game of their playoff run. Okay, so what I'm saying is that if Jalen is healthy, which I believe he is, again, the 1-2 punch with Sanders. You got AJ Brown, slants. He can beat anybody one-on-one. I think the Giants are going to have a handful defensively, I think. That's it. But I do see the Giants moving the ball on that defense again. Like the 49ers, I feel that their defense is overrated too. I think and when I say overrated, let me put it in perspective. I don't want to say overrated. I want to say slightly overrated. I think we put a lot on these defenses. Like they're not 85 Bears or 2000 Ravens or 03 Bucks. Okay, they're not the steel curtain on the Dallas Doomsday defense. These defenses are good, but they're not.
Why does it have to go all the way there? I mean,
when you say because you have great, y'all don't have a great defense. You got a good defense. You're
better than good.
You're number one, or at least in the top 5 of most important statistics, like the Eagles were. Eagles are great, but I mean, the Eagles are okay. They're back in this. They got 2 Pro Bowlers and an All-Pro back there with Slay and Bradbury. But they can be had. Bradbury's the weaker of the 2. Dak sliced and diced them in the second game. He would have done it in the first game too, and he played because he owns the Eagles. Okay, he was never been able to stop Dak. Okay, so Dak has. I'm saying, y'all just like them. It's not all that. You can move the ball on them. They're not shutting anybody down. Okay, all right. The Giants can move the ball on them. To your point with their receivers, they can probably make some noise. You know what I'm saying? Try to make them safeties pick a spot, create some space underneath. and get them guys going. That's all you got to do, because they're going to play a lot of, high single coverage and different things of that nature, or they're going to play a cover 2. You're going to have a lot of opportunity in that middle of the field. And so, and stuff underneath, you can get what's his name going there, Saquon, and move him around and different things like that. Put him in a mismatch with a linebacker. Look, I think they can move the ball. The defense of the Giants has the biggest responsibility on Sunday. The work is going to be on them to try to stop the Eagles' offense. That's what I see. But I don't think they'll be able to fulfill that task. So I'm
okay. So let me get a score from you.
I'm gonna give you a score of I'm gonna just say 35. I'm gonna say 35-24.
So the Eagles will win and cover.
Yeah. What's the spread on them?
7.5.
7.5. Oh yeah. They'll be about 7.
They're winning cover. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think the Eagles will win 28-21. They won't cover. They're gonna win, but they won't cover.
So they won't cover by half a point.
Nope. Okay. So one more thing I wanted to bring up that I was thinking about over the course of a few days. There is not going to be an all NFC East NFC game, NFC Championship game. I hate to break that to you. Unfortunately for you, had you taken care of business, you could have had a bye, and your chances of making it to the NFC Championship game would have been greater. But this is the NFL is going to take. The NFL is going to take an approach of a little, Vibe magazine, East Coast, West Coast. There is not going to be an all NFC East NFC Championship game. So, unfortunately for you, you match up against the dominance of the 49ers. And I think it's going to ultimately be the 49ers versus the Eagles in the NFC Championship game.
And here's my retort to that. What's going to happen is this, right? There will be an NFC East, NFC Championship game, right? And that's going to obviously be between Dallas and or Eagles and Giants. However, if Dallas loses on Sunday, y'all are losing to the Eagles. Should the Eagles beat the Giants? Now, if the Giants end up upsetting the Eagles and they got to play in San Fran, then y'all will just go to the mountaintop and fall, because you're not going to beat Kansas City or Buffalo, particularly Kansas City.
So you think whoever wins this game between our teams is going to ultimately go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, because we can beat the Eagles. No, that's not what I'm saying. We can beat the Eagles. Y'all can't beat the Eagles. I don't think y'all will beat the Eagles. I think we can beat the Eagles. I don't think y'all will beat the Eagles.
That makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, I don't think y'all can beat the Eagles.
What are you talking about? Yeah. You can beat the Eagles.
We can beat the Eagles. Y'all can't beat the Eagles. Y'all can't beat the Eagles.
But if we beat you guys, and you guys can beat the Eagles, but we can't beat the Eagles.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. Let's go on to the next. Let's go on to the next one, because this obviously that's a nutso. That's a nutso take right there. That is a nutso take. We can beat the Eagles, but you can't beat the Eagles. Like, come on.
Hear that nutso? The boy here says he owes me. He owes me.
Thank you. That's a nutso take.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can call it a nutso take, but again, y'all, because that's y'all.
And that's based off of what? What is that based off of?
That's based off the fact of familiarity. That's also based off the fact that we pretty much know how to beat the Eagles. Y'all can't. Let me tell you let me tell you why. If y'all beat us, okay, because your dominant score prediction is just like outlandish, we're going to expose y'all in so many ways, and the Eagles will be able to do that. They're going to pick stuff that we've done to show how to beat you guys. They take some of our blueprint, and then they're going to implement that. I mean,
there's something a little bit different about that. They do, if what you're saying is correct, they do have the personnel to actually do some of that. Who's your number one receiver?
CeeDee Lamb and All-Pro.
Who's your got it. Who's your number 2 receiver?
We don't really have a distinct.
Okay, the case closed. We have nothing to talk about. They have 2 good receivers. So
now you only reinforcing my point. So that's why you will end up losing to them.
No. But my point is this: you can exploit them having one receiver. We have multiple receivers, multiple running backs, but yet we can't beat them.
No, I still don't think y'all can beat them. Because I don't think y'all secondary It's not that great.
Did you say that? I thought you said your secondary, you only had one side. Am I right or wrong? Did you say
right now? But Izzy and Bland are still, they're better to me than Anthony Brown and what's his name? Who we picked up Mullins, who was trash. He's a healthy scratch after what we saw against Washington.
So it's contradictory.
Izzy and Bland are rookies that are playing well. But what I'm saying is we only really got Diggs. But what my point is this, is that y'all, they got two good receivers. We got one. Dak is gonna still wheel and deal with only one good receiver, one good tight end, and a plethora between Gallup and T.Y. Hilton and Noah Brown. We're gonna still be able to get the ball around because again, y'all can you just
wait, Metcalf
has your secondary been playing well this year? And a lot of players
they could do better, but you know, DK Metcalf had a Metcalf.
I don't get no insight on that.
DK Metcalf had a really good game against us.
As a lot of number one receivers have.
No, I understand.
A lot of receivers have got.
But we're talking about in the playoffs. We're talking playoffs, right?
Okay, we're talking playoffs. Okay.
DK Metcalf had a really good game. Where's DK Metcalf today? It does matter. Because CeeDee Lamb could.
But that's not a concern. But
CeeDee Lamb could have a good game. Listen, it will not be enough to beat us. 35-17.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
35-17.
What is enough? What beats the 49ers? Can you just be a fair, objective fan and say to me, what is the thing that a team needs to do to beat the 49ers? How can the 49ers get beat in the playoffs? What would a team need to do?
I don't want to say.
Because you give this impression that y'all are just.
I don't want to say.
It's nothing.
I don't want to say.
Like nobody's gonna, No.
It's not a play. You guys don't possess anything that can beat us. I'll be clear on that. The only thing that can beat us.
You're a team that possesses something that can beat y'all.
The only thing that can beat us is turnovers and injuries. You guys.
That's it. So you.
That's it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you don't think no other team is
certainly not Dallas. Certainly not Dallas. Not Dallas.
You don't think? Okay. All right.
Not Dallas.
So you don't think Dallas has a chance to beat y'all? You don't
35-17. I think I said.
You think we're better than the Eagles or not?
No.
Okay. Do you think? Okay. And what about in the AFC? Who could beat y'all there? Are you better than Kansas City?
Yes. The only team that will give us will be a very competitive game is Cincinnati.
So you don't think the offense of the Chiefs and Josh Allen, who yes is pick prone, but with the receivers that they have, okay, and even Cincinnati, to your admission, you don't think those three teams have the ability to throw on your team and
I said Cincinnati.
You said it, but you don't think Kansas City and Buffalo can beat the team?
I think we are defensively, we can get Josh Allen in a position where he's going to turn the ball over. And that's what I think. I think Joe Burrow, if they can protect Joe Burrow, he's calm and cool under pressure, and he has the players, he has the skilled players. He has a good running back. He has actually two good running backs. But obviously, he has Joe Mixon. He has P. Ryan with the beard that the helmet is built into the beard. He has him. You have Chase. You have T. Higgins. You have Tyler Boyd. He has.
Okay, but to
pieces.
your point, right? You know we beat Cincinnati this year, right? And with a backup quarterback, mind you, without Dak, we beat Cincinnati. So if you want to take your logic about how we can beat the Eagles, but y'all can't, which you found to be you find it to be a nonsensical point that I brought up. So but yet, should that still apply in the fact that if we beat Cincinnati and you think you can beat Cincinnati, why can't we beat y'all?
I said Cincinnati would give us the most trouble. I didn't.
So you don't think Dallas going to give you trouble? Because clearly you got us getting blown out on Sunday. What'd you say? 99-4, something like that. What was the score you gave?
35-17.
So that's a blowout. 35-17. But yet the team you feel will give you a trouble that could potentially beat the 49ers, possibly, is a team that Dallas beat with a backup quarterback, mind you, because Dak did not play that game. We beat them with a backup quarterback. Okay, I'm just trying to, it's cool.
They weren't protecting. Listen, I did say this.
That chain must be really heavy on your neck.
I did say this. Listen, and these aren't this is I won't get into the whole chain because that's a whole nother thing. But I will say this: if Joe Burrow, as good as he is, all quarterbacks, if you can't protect them, then plays can't develop. So you guys were on top of him the whole game. He didn't have time for the play to develop with Chase or and I don't even think Chase was playing. I thought Chase was injured.
He got shut down by Diggs, one of the Diggs casualties of the year. He got shut down, and he couldn't convert on a big third down play late in that fourth quarter. And Diggs came up and made a great tackle, which he's not known to do.
Okay. I know Chase was out injured for a while.
No, he played in that game. He played in that game. He didn't get hurt till after that game. He played. Okay. Yeah, they was healthy. They was very healthy in that game. In fact, that was week 2 of the season when we beat them. We was already 0-1 after the deplorable performance against the Buccaneers the week before. So we won.
Okay, so let's talk about the Bengals and the Bills. The Bills are 5.5 point favorites over the Bengals. I think, just as I said, the Bengals have ridiculous skill players. I think Joe Burrow is super cool and under pressure. I think they always have a shot. They always have a shot because when you have players like that, when you have a quarterback that has a good arm, is accurate, you always have a shot. Their biggest thing and their knock is the protection of Joe Burrow because he is always getting sacked. Right. They've beefed the offensive lineup some. The defense has been playing really well over the last month or so, maybe 7-8 games. So I think that they are definitely a good team. Right. Is it enough to beat Buffalo? Do I think that they're better than Buffalo? Absolutely. I do think they're better than Buffalo. Will they beat Buffalo? Will Buffalo, will the NFL be incentivized to allow Buffalo to make it to the Super Bowl? I think they will be. So I think this story, what happened, the fact that we're on the other side of it, I don't think that, once again, in my prediction, one of these teams has to lose. And I mean, that's between the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think given the choice of those two teams in order to keep everything and get everything back to normal as far as the normal progression of who plays where, I think the Bills will win. I think the Bills will win, and I think they will cover. I like the Bills.
What's the?
I'll let you. 5.5 points, so, just under a touchdown. So what do you say?
I think this is a real interesting game to me. So I would say, I'll be honest, I'm a little conflicted and torn with this game as far as who I think will win or who I would. Well, the Bills should win this game, but Cincinnati is a really good team, and I did like one take that I saw from an analytical perspective that because the line is not great for Cincinnati, I mean, it's gotten better, but they actually got guys that are hurt, actually, or playing with injury. One of the things that was mentioned was that if they go to an empty set, D, that will be able to expose the coverage of the Bills, and all Burrow would need to do then is hit quick shots. Boom, 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 boom. If they get the ball out quick, they can find some spots in empty spaces within the coverage in there. I think that'll be the key. So if Burrow can get the ball out quick, that's going to create problems, and they've got plenty of weapons to do that. So, I like the Bills will win. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm going with the Bengals. The Bengals will upset them. I think the Bengals will win, and the Bengals are going to win. Although they didn't look good against Baltimore, I have to be honest. They did not look good against Baltimore, in my opinion. But I think they're going to come back and they're going to bounce back because the Bills have a tendency of, and you've been saying this consistently all through the weeks of our show, that they just be unpredictable. And look what happened with Miami. And so they have a tendency, or they try to at least beat themselves. You know what I mean? And so I think the Bengals will prevail because the Bills are not a dominant team to me. So I like the Bengals in this game. I'm actually going with a score of I'm going to go 35-30. I'm going to go 35-30 in this game. I'm going to say
35-30.
Yeah.
So you have the Bengals winning and covering. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to go with Buffalo for a lot of reasons. Not that I think that they're a better team. I think Cincinnati is a better team, top to bottom. But I'm going to go with the Bills, and I'm going to go 31-24.
31-24.
31-24.
Okay. I like that. 31-24. Okay. So you buy a touchdown. Okay.
31-24.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So
all right.
this should be really interesting. I think this is going to be an exciting weekend. I can't wait. Monday is going to be some show, one way or the other.
One way or the other. One way or the other.
One way or the other. So, once again, Rod, thanks for joining me.
No problem.
Shout out to Infinite Audio for the music. Shout out to Kingdom Creative for the production. Look at the production. You got that. You see in the back, you see that victory formation he has over his shoulders? That's production. You hear me? That's victory formation.
I want to focus on this guy right here. That's why I put it up. I should have just did one more pause.
You should have, but you blew it. You show victory formation. Jimmy G is smiling because we won the game. That looks like a victory formation.
That's Garoppolo, who Purdy's going to end up being like soon anyway, so it don't matter.
Wow.
He's getting ready to get under center because, like I told you before, Purdy's going to have to come up and play.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And before we go, is Dak Prescott going to have any turnovers, fumbles, or interceptions?
I mean, I hope not. I hope
Is
not.
McCarthy?
You know
Is McCarthy going to be able to handle when we when Kyle Shanahan has all these schemes going? Is he going to be able to actually? Oh, that's what he's going to do.
Okay,
that's what he's going to do when
America. Let me say this, America. There's a conspiracy going on in Brooklyn Beards and Balls. Okay? All right, there's a conspiracy because the production team and Don, my co-host, have been conspiring against me. Okay,
not true.
Because all I see is memes and gifs that are derogatory towards the Cowboys. Have y'all seen it anywhere along this show or on any of our pages? Okay, where you see anything good about my Cowboys? But that's okay. I've got content coming for our production team. We're going to even this out a little bit, okay?
Absolutely.
Because all year long, it has been the Cowboys looking like the buffoons and a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But don't worry, I got some stuff coming, all right? So production, Kingdom Creatives, get ready, all right? Get ready. We're going to put some stuff out. That's the Don conspiracy that's really been going on this year.
Right. Once again, everyone, thank you for joining us. Please like, share, subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook page. Please share this video. Share it. If football, any sports lovers, we will get back to all of the sports that we discussed after the playoffs. But we are pinpoint focus on, obviously the NFL and the playoffs because, and now we have a special kind of interest because both of our teams are facing, head to head. So of course, like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. Once again, thank you for joining us. Until next time, peace. Go Niners.